Hi everyone, myself Dr. M. Lakshmi Prasad, working as an associate professor in the Department of Data Science in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So in this video, I'm going to discuss about the precision principle. So in last two videos, I discussed about the clarity principle and efficiency principle. So following that, in this video, I'm able to cover precision principle. So all these principles are very important for presenting the data very effectively. So everyone who are going to present the data should compulsory follow these principles. So very first, what have to be know about what should be the precision, what is precision of data. Okay, so the precision is nothing but how close measure value are to each other. That should be the precision. So basically, there may be some how many decibels places are at the end of the given measurement, right? Then and precision does not matter anything, and then accuracy is how close a measured value is to the true value. And the accuracy matters too, but it is the best when the measurements are both precise and accurate. Okay, so what is the precision of the data? So precision is nothing but how close the measured values are going to be each other. Suppose we are collecting the data, right? So that the data were going to be collected from different sources. Normally, sometimes we may be able to collect the data from lab experiments on then some scientific values, right? So how precision it is that. Suppose if I'm going to take 10.12, so what is the how close this value, whether it should be rounded off to 10 or it is rounded off to 10.11, that thing you have to be identified the precision. So whether it should be same thing or it may be take it as normal at 10.12 only, that thing will have to be measured, that should be appreciated. Okay, so the basically how many display places are at the end of the given measurement should be the precision of the data, and the precision doesn't matter. And then accuracy, so what is the accuracy and precision almost are same, but the accuracy is the one how close to measure a value to the true value should be the accuracy. And the accuracy matters too, but it is best whenever the measurements are both precise and accurate only. So whatever the measurements we are taking, that should be compulsory follow the precise and then accurate, then only the presentation will be very clear and understood by the audience. And next we're going to see about what are the characteristics of the precision. So normally the precision may be the degree of exactness of which the instrument is designed. Okay, so the precision is the degree of exactness. So exactness is the measure you have to be considered. So whenever the instrument is going to be designed, and the precision may be able to consist of two characteristics. So first one should be conformity and then significant figures. So these two are the two characteristics what we have to be maintained for the precision. And the most significant figures and estimated precision is more. Okay, so the more significant figures and then estimated precision also more here. So the characteristics of the precision will be the conformity and then significant figures. So in precisions we have to be measure degree of exactness for which the instrument is going to be designed, and more significant and estimated precision is going to be more. And the precision is the depth of knowledge enclosed by the data. Okay, so the precision is the depth of the knowledge encoded by the data, and the precision may be of different forms. So normally resolution of images, what will be the precision, and then audio files, and then video, and the degree of disaggregation of statistics. So these are the different forms of the precision. And then accuracy is the likelihood that the data reflect the truth or not. So what is the data I'm coming from the different source, whether that data should reflects to the truth or not, that should be the accuracy. And the scanned image of the government record is 100% accurate in some sense, right? So what is the image I'm going to collect from government record, that should be 100% accurate in some cases, right? So the precision is nothing but the depth of the knowledge encoded by the data. and this precision maybe comes in different forms, so such as resolution of images and then audio files and then video files, or can able to uh, calculate as a degree of disaggregation of statistics. And the accuracy, so accuracy also is almost all similar to the precision, but it likelihood that the data reflects the truth, that is the accuracy. So some of the examples, the scanned image of the government record is 100% accurate in some cases. And what is the example of this data precision is the next one. So the precision is just now what I said is how close two or more measurements are to each other. That should be the precision. So if you consistently measure your height as 5, right, with a yardstick, your measurements are the precision, right? Suppose some of the people may able to measure their height through the uh, table, right? So what they indicated some measurements by considering, and then height of the person is going to be calculated, and what should be the height, 5 points, it's like this. So instead of that, so if I'm going to measure their height with an yardstick, so that should be the exact height of that person. So normally sometimes some persons may able to calculate the height through tapes or some other instrument they are going to be take, right? So instead of that, if I'm going to measure this yardstick, so which is going to measure the height of the person, that should be the precise. So similarly, what is the next one? Suppose if some people, suppose if we want to measure the fever, temperature, right? So many instruments are available. So which is the best one, right? So thermometer I can able to use, or then scanned devices nowadays is available. So by single shot through the infrared, so the person is able to identify how much fever is having. So like this, so different instruments available. So which instrument is the best one to measure the exact precision of the data? Then how do you find the precision of the data? So in order to calculate that precision, so normally you have to make use of different range of values, and then or can able to start by sorting the data in numerical order, so that you can able to determine the height, determine the highest and then lowest measured values. And the next, what you have to subtract that lowest measured value from the highest measured value, then report that answer as the precision, right? So normally, so in what we are going to find the precision of the data? Suppose if I'm going to calculate the precision, so using range of values, so how can I able to do that? So by I can able to start by sorting the data in numerical order, and then I can able to determine the highest value and lowest measured values. So next, what I have to do, next what I'm going to do is that, so next I can able to subtract the lowest measured value, what I get it from the highest measured value, then that one should be reported as the answer as the precision here. And next, so what are the measures of precision? So the measures of the precision measurement should be able to reflect to the spread of measured values. Okay, so the precision of the measurements refer to the spread of the measured values only. So one way to analyze the precision of measurements would be to determine the range, or I can able to determine this difference, or I can able to determine the difference between the lowest and higher measured values. So in that case, what I can do, the lowest value should be 10.9, and then highest value should be measured as 11.2 inches, like this. So the precision how the measurements would able to refer the spread of values is a very important one. So one way to analyze the precision of the measurement should be determined, can able to determine the range. So range is one thing, and then otherwise I can able to see the difference. So the difference between the lowest value and highest measured value. Suppose the lowest value should be treated as 10.9 inches and highest should be treated as example as 11.2. So these are some of the measures of the precisions what we are going to be follow. And so what is the difference between that accuracy and precision, right? So accuracy is the degree of closeness to the true value, whereas the precision is the degree to which the instrument or we process will repeat the same value. So that should be the precision. So what is the difference between the accuracy and what is the difference between the precision? So accuracy is nothing but the degree of closeness to the true value. So that is the accuracy. So precision is nothing but the degree to which an instrument will repeat the same value. Suppose we are doing some experiments. So I'm going to find the fever of the person. So as a COVID patient, I'm going to calculate. So through one instrument, so through thermometer, I'm going to get as 109 degrees Fahrenheit through thermometer, and through the digital thermometer, with the same reading I'm going to get, and through scanned device, same reading if I'm going to get, then that should be the precision. Suppose sometimes the thermometer is showing 109, some through digital thermometer is showing 108, and through scan device showing 110. So what will happen? So there is no accurate. There should be not an accurate. Okay. So that should be the precision. So how to measure? So whatever the measurements were taken through different instrument devices, if all the devices are going to show this exact value, then that should be considered as a exact precision. So in other words, the accuracy is the degree of veracity, while precision is the degree of reproducibility. So in other words, if I want to say that, so accuracy is the degree of veracity, while the precision is the degree of reproducibility. So these are the difference between accuracy and then precision. And then, so what is the normally you're going to follow the formula for precision is that, so if I'm going to calculate the precision of the model, so that should be calculated as, so precision is equal to true positives divided by true positives plus false positives. Suppose the true positive value is 90 and false positive value is 30. So 90 divided by 90 by 30, so the precision will be 90 by 120. So these are the some of the formulas of precision what we are going to be follow for some applications normally. And then what is the accuracy and then precision with examples? I have to explain that. So the accuracy, just now what I said, the accuracy is how close the value to its the true value. So as an example, I can able to say that. So how close an arrow gets to the bull's eye center. So that should be the accuracy. So precision is that how repeatable the measurement is. So that should be the precision. So right. So the example is that, so how close an arrow gets to the bull's eye center. So that should be the accuracy. And precision is that how many times that experiment is going to be repeated so that I can able to get the same value. That should be the precision. So another example, if I want to say that, so how close the second arrow is to the first one. So precision means how close that. So suppose this is the example. So the person is throwing one arrow and the second person is also throwing another arrow. So how close that the second arrow to the first one. So that should be considered as a accuracy. So regardless whether it is either near the mark or the hitting the same target, that one should be the example of the accuracy. And what are the precision measuring tools what we are having, right? So as the name suggests that precision, so precision measuring instruments or the tools or devices that are directly measuring the physical quantities are going to be obtaining the measurements indirectly by making a calculation on the real world objects. So in such a manner that one can get the precise values. So what are the precision measuring tools that, so as the name is going to be suggest what that, so the precision measuring instruments, so these are the tools or maybe it may be devices, so that are going to be used for directly measuring the physical quantities or obtaining the measurements indirectly by making a calculation on the real world objects in such a way in manner that one can get the precise values. So these are the precision measuring tools. And next one is that what are the characteristics of precision? So characteristics of precision. So precision is the degree of exactness for which the instrument is going to be designed, and then the characteristics of precision will be of two types. So first one, conformity, and then significant figures. So the most significant figures and estimated precision should be more. Okay. So the characteristics of precision should be conformity and then significant figures. So what is the data precision in healthcare? Suppose if I'm going to take this healthcare as an example. So in this one I want to know what should be the data precision. So normally the data precision is that so the degree which measures support their purpose and closeness of two or more measures to each other should be the data precision. So the degree to which measures support their purpose and the closeness of two or more measures to each other should be the data precision. And data relevance is that the extent to which the healthcare related data are going to be useful for the purpose for which they were collected. That should be the data relevant. So data relevance means the data what were going to be gathered, so that should be relevant to the healthcare or not. So that should be the data relevancy. So the extent to which the healthcare related data are going to be useful for the purposes for which they were collected. So the extent to which the healthcare related data are going to be useful for the purpose for which they were going to be collected should be the data relevance. So these are things that may be about the precision of the data. So the precision, once I am going to explain what is the precision. So the precision also one of the principle. So for which you can make data presentation should be very effective. So previously clarity, efficiency, and next principle is that precision. So first one should be the clarity principle, and second one should be efficiency, and third one should be precision. So these three principles are very important for presenting the data. So if anything is, suppose if the clarity is missed, then the data what the user is presenting is not good. If the efficiency is missed, the presentation of the data are also not good. And precision is missed, the presentation of the data are also not good. So these three things are very important. We have to be followed for any person, any normal person should follow this clarity, efficiency, and precision principle. So clarity means how make the presentation should be clarity, and efficiency, so how to make the data should be efficient or not, and precision. So precision means normally you're going to maintain when going to do the scientific experiments or lab experiments. So at the time the precision of the data is very important. So the precision is nothing but how close measures the value that to each other. So basically how many decimal places are to be at the end of the given experiment, and all the time the precision does not matter anything. And alternative of the precision should be accuracy. So accuracy and precision almost all same. So the accuracy is the one how close measure value to the true value, and then accuracy matters too, but it's best when the experiments are going to be both precise and then accurate. And the characteristics of the precision will be of two types. So first one should be conformity, and second one is that significant figures. So these two are the characteristic what we are going to maintain for the precision. And the precision is the depth of the knowledge that should be encoded by the data normally. And the precision may be of different forms. That may be some of that should be that resolution of images, audio, video, and the degree of disaggregation of statistics. And the accuracy is the likelihood that may be reflect the truth. And some of the examples are suppose the scanned image of the government record. So it should be the 100% accurate data. And the example of data precision should be suppose if you are going to measure the height of the person through the ad stick. So that is one example, best example of that data precision. So normally I can able to measure the fever of the cold person through thermometer or digital thermometer, or I can able to write through scan devices. So I can able to get. So if all the data what I'm getting should be that equal, then it should be the precision is good. Then how to find the precision? So normally if I want to calculate the precision of the data, so I can able to first what I have to do is I have to just sort the data in numerical order, so that I can able to determine the highest and lowest measured values. Some from that I can able to measure, subtract the lowest measured value from the highest measured value. What is the answer that is? That should be the precision. And then what are the various measures of precision? So normally if I'm going to maintain this precision, so through the measurements, so normally I can able to make use of this range, or I can able to do the difference between the highest value and lowest value. And what is the difference between the accuracy and precision? So accuracy is the nothing but degree of closeness to the true value, whereas the precision is the degree to which an instrument or process will repeat the same value. So in other words, the accuracy is nothing but the degree of veracity, and the precision is nothing but the degree of reproducibility. And what is the formula for precision? So normally we are going to see that the precision is nothing but separation is equal to true positives divided by true positives plus false positive. And then accuracy, and what is the precision examples? So just now I said, so accuracy, how close a value to the true value, suppose. So how close an arrow gets to the bull's eye and center, so that should be the accuracy. Then precision is nothing but how many times this experiment is going to be repeated with the same value what I am getting should be the precision. So what are the precision measurement tools? So the precision measurement tools are nothing but the devices or some other tools are available, so which can able to use directly from measuring the physical quantities, are going to be obtain measurements indirectly by making a calculation on the real world objects. And then what are the characteristics of precision? So characteristics of precision will be conformity and significant figures. And what is the data precision in healthcare normally? So the degree to which the measure support the purpose or the closeness of two measurements should be the data precision. And what should be the data relevance? So how much the data is going to be related to the healthcare, so that should be data relevance. So that is nothing but the extent to which the healthcare related data are going to be useful for the purpose for which they were going to be collected. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.